can be caused by this. Now, as far as the minerals, if you're deficient in potassium, then people that tend to be deficient in potassium and high salts gain weight. People can have salts like crazy and never gain weight as long as they got enough potassium in their cells and in their tissues. So that's why you see people just shooting salt to it. They don't gain weight at all. And so we lust after that, right? Oh, I wish I could do that. But some people, because their potassium's so low, 1 pinch of salt's a pound of water. Or just 1 pinch. It's just like a I mean, you just look at it. And they gain weight, you know. And they starve, they don't eat nothing, they cut their calories down to nothing, they cut the fat out and everything, and still they're gaining weight and they don't know why. That's because they're getting those pinches of salt. And where do they get that salt? In water. They don't drink distilled water and they get it in the water supplies are full of salts. So they're avoiding the foods and they're putting salt in their food and all this, but they're drinking like crazy, you know. If they don't drink distilled water, they're going to get a lot of salt in that water. And there's a lot of acid in water because of acid rain. So acid rain and drinking that also will have a problem with the water weight, see, because it makes you more acid. The body has to use more water to dilute those acids. So too much salt in your liquids, and of course all your pops and when you drink juices, like it says, fruit juices, like it'll say grape juice from a concentrate. You don't want that because they took all the natural water that's in the grape juice out. They boiled it out at the source, and then they transported that to a location closer to where they're going to distribute it. Put the dirty water back in. They didn't replace, because they didn't want to haul all that extra water up there, right? Saving a lot of transportation weight. By taking the water out of it and then transporting it up there and then use the water there, it don't cost you as much. But they don't put the good water back in. Say they put the dirty water back in, which is loaded with salts. So there's a big source of salts, is drinking juices from a concentrate. Get it frozen, add your own distilled water to it. See if you get it concentrate and add your own water to it. Or get it where that's fresh squeezed with its own water still in the juice. And then it's okay if it's a little pasteurized. I just heat it up a little bit. It's in its own water. It's okay. And get it that way. Now there's a difference between mineral salts and inorganic salts. And you get a lot of people complaining, well, Don, I got to get my water. I mean, there needs to be minerals in this water. Distilled water is not any minerals in it. It's going to leach out my minerals. And so I try to explain to people, look, these minerals you're talking about are the minerals that are inorganic. They're waste minerals that's in your body. And you're not supposed to be putting minerals in your salt in your body. It doesn't come from a seed, number one. You can't put a grain of salt in the ground and it sprout and may give you more grains. So it doesn't qualify as a food. Okay? So you're not supposed to have that in your body, coming into your body. Now as your body goes through its acid-alkaline chemical reactions, salt and water is one of the byproducts. And that's what's supposed to be coming out. All right? But see, when you get too much salt, and it can't get out because you're not drinking good enough water, then the body has to store it someplace. That's salt water. So where's it going to put it? So that's part of our weight problem. And so we avoid that by drinking liquids, drinking lots of distilled water, like it should be 5 glasses of water, 8-ounce glasses in the morning. Spread out, not over 8 ounces an hour, because drinking too much water is just going to go right through. It's not going to pick up those salts. So to get rid of that salt water overweight problem, we got to pull the salts out of the tissues so it will release that excess water and then put the potassium back in. So that's why we drink the distilled water, especially in the mornings when you're going to pull most of that out of there. And we use B6, a good source of B6, because it likes salt water. So it acts like a sponge, and so you take that with your water and it goes in there, pulls that salt water out, helps the body get rid of it. Drink enough water so it can get out through the bladder. And then you put the potassium in, and then it will keep the water out, unless you get low in potassium again. But if you keep getting those pinches of salt, like in the dressing, cheese, just a little bit of cheese, just a little bit like that, it's a pinch of salt. Dressings are just full of it. You eat out with us, get the soups, canned foods, salts in everything. You've got to get a big magnifying glass, big one. I mean, make it a Sherlock's Holmes double big one. So it's very obvious when you go in the store and read those labels, you know, because they make them so small, you got to have a big magnifying glass, even if you have perfect vision, because they make them so small so you won't read what's in there. But there's a bunch of salts in the foods as well as in the liquid stuff. And then and when you go and eat out, they spoilage is the loss in a restaurant, you know. That's where they lose their profit. Spoilage. So they want to use lots of salt in everything so that it will last a couple days. So they take the things that you didn't eat today and put it in the soups tomorrow with lots of salt to make sure you don't know that it's 24 hours or more old. Okay? So you get a lot of salts when you eat out. That's tough. They put on everything. The fish and everything, see? Because it acts as a preservative. But that salt gets into your body, it does the same thing to your body. And so in order for the body to compensate, it has to pull it and store it. And that's your weight problem. So how do we prevent that? We stay away from the salts. We don't add any more than what the body's going to make through its natural processes, you know, through its chemical reactions. And you're just going to have to learn to watch what you eat. You say, Don, but nothing tastes good without it. Then what you're eating isn't good for you if it doesn't taste good. Or your taste buds have been perverted. But most things that they cook, say, too much, there's no taste left. You've destroyed the taste by cooking all the minerals out of it and destroying the life of the food. So it doesn't taste good. And so to get away with feeding you dead food, they put a lot of salt or things like that in there to make it taste good to you. Or else you wouldn't even eat it because it's dead. Why would you want to eat something dead? You know? If you knew it was dead. Of course, we know a cow's dead. We think it's dead anyways. It's not twitching anyways by that time. But they killed it, I presume. And they froze it to death, and then you cooked it to death. So it's got to be pretty dead when you eat a cow or anything from a cow. Right? So you're not going to get much nutrition out of a cow in any form. But again, you're still accepted in the beloved. But you're not going to be around very long, or as long, as your Creator wants you to be around if we don't learn to do a little bit less in some of these areas, or learn to look at these things. So read labels and find out if there's any salt. Cut your protein intake down to 25 grams. You should get to the place where you can eat meat maybe 3 times a week at lunch, and that should be all that you really need. You don't need that much, but if you want to, that would be the way to do it. I'm talking about getting nutrition for your money rather than food. So you want to get your food budget designed around nutrition rather than amounts. All right? And then eat your protein between noon and lunch. Noon and 2. And so you don't get too much protein. Watch these roasted things like roasted peanuts, roasted nuts, peanut butter. All those are bad proteins that tend to keep your water weight down too low. Smoking. That's why a lot of women smoke, to keep their weight down, because smoking affects the hypothalamus and keeps it from keeps making the hypothalamus make you produce hormones that lower your water ratio. So that's why smokers tend to be underweight, or they'll keep their weight under control supposedly that way. It's manipulation of the hypothalamus, they'll say. And it's dehydrating you rather than giving your body what it needs and dealing with the cause of the weight problem. So again, we're back to, we found ways that we can manipulate the body, see, to control, and we got to stay away from doing things that way. Okay, so those are some things that we can do to prevent. Get better water, distribute the water out through the day. Don't drink with your meals. That's very important. If you drink with your meals, you put too much water into the stomach with the food, and then you dilute the digestive juices. So then you just bloat. Puts on extra water weight in the colon and in the stomach. So we want to avoid getting extra weight that way. A lot of people, their legs are like skinny rails, their arms are skinny, and they're just big right in the middle. You know? Now that's colon weight. And probably I should, but most of it's water, but a lot of people have anywhere from 10 to 40 pounds of waste in their colons. And it's so weighted down, it's prolapsed, it's just drooping there real big right around here, especially right here. Okay, and that's nothing but colon weight. Lots of water in there with waste. Okay? So some people don't need to lose weight. They're underweight really in their arms and their legs, but they're overweight in just their colon. So then if that's the case, then you need to clean that colon out. Then your weight is more evenly distributed. Okay? So that again, sometimes we can work in different areas of the body and exercise different parts of the body in order to get the water distributed better. And so those are some things we want to work at. Again, remember that if your basics, when you're overweight, you're going to have a weight problem, or overweight, you're going to have a breathing problem, especially if your lungs get too much water moisture and they swell, you won't breathe good. Wherever you are overweight, that part of your body that's got that excess water, you're not breathing good in that area. So you're interfering with the blood carrying the breath of life to the cells that make up that area. And so there's going to be a breakdown in that area. So we need to keep that in mind. So, but we need to do extra breathing to help the body get rid of those obstructions. All right? So work on your breathing exercises. Rest. You want to make sure you get enough rest so that your body can get the oxygen that it needs. Do you realize at night is when we talked about in previous seminars how that the body pulls more oxygen while you're resting at night? You know what mineral gets pulled into your tissue at night when you're resting? It's potassium. So you're also building up your reserves of potassium when you're resting. And if you're overweight, that's important. So getting good rest without that pinch of salt when you go to bed will help you, as long as you're getting enough in your diet or supplementation of the potassium, and your adrenals are not too tired to pull it in, then you can actually build up the potassium, which is the main reason for having too much water in your tissues. that's causing the overweight problem. So rest is very important, part of our lifestyle for weight problems, especially overweight. For underweight, rest is very important because the person that's all stressed up is running his battery down. So he's so tight. And when you're resting, you're supposed to be relaxed. Right? If there's going to be any time that you're going to relax, it's going to be while you're resting. Now, if you're acid, if your body's real acid, over acid, that keeps you tight even when you go to bed at night. See, so then you don't rest good. So when you don't rest good, then your battery doesn't charge up good. And so that can be part of your weight problems, because some people don't, their tissues, their body just doesn't. So they stay too underweight as far as their water is concerned. At least some parts of their body will. All right? So we want the rest. We talked about the water, and we've talked about the food. So a weight problem is a lifestyle problem. Either our breathing, rest, water, and food is not keeping up with our stress and our digestion and elimination and what we're our work schedule, intensity of lifestyle, or we're eating too much at the wrong time, which is then of the wrong things that are causing obstructions that also require that the body store these obstructions somewhere. And depending on which obstruction is predominant, that'll determine whether you're over or underweight. And let me say in conclusion here that the person that has just the right weight could be the person that ends up with cancer or diabetes, because their weight is not natural to the amount of obstructions they have in their body. And they're doing things in their lifestyle that's manipulating the body to hold that dress size or that pant size. And to do that, and while they're doing that, they're causing some real damage to their tissues and cells, because they're not supporting the body with their lifestyle, and by manipulating their body with their lifestyle, they're not helping the body get rid of those obstructions that's causing the weight problem, whether it's under or over. They're just adding to the problem, and the end result is that they're going to end up with some serious weakness, sickness, and diseases. It's just a matter of time. You can't keep doing that. So let's stop being paranoid about weight. Let's just look at a weight problem like we look at all symptoms. It's just the body trying to say, will you help me? I need some help. There's some things that I need that I'm not getting. And there's things that I don't need that I'm getting. And I need your help so that I can get what I need and get rid of what I don't need. And then your body says to you, will you help me? Are you going to help me get rid of what I don't need and get what I do need? This is to you out there that are looking at this video. Are you willing to make adjustments in your lifestyle so that your body can do what your Creator made it to do? It's up to you, but do it, okay?